In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. For a 5-year period, every single movie that Kevin Hart did was a movie that had been on my desk, that all I had said was, just, can we take some of this step and fetch?
When Katt Williams was recently featured on an episode of the podcast series Club Shay, which was hosted by Shannon Sharpe, he was a part of one of the most controversial interviews of the year he had ever participated in. In addition, you should brace yourselves because this interview has a lot of information that you will need to unravel. Katt Williams did not hold back in the least and was ready to expose everybody who has ever talked negatively about him. Not only does he expose other comedians for lying about his identity, but he also goes so far as to call out well-known celebrities like Kevin Hart and Ludacris for being members of the Illuminati.
You know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is? Is to act like it didn't happen.
He does this by providing evidence that they have been lying about his name. During the course of the conversation, Chris Tucker even managed to catch a stray when Katt Williams stated that he was no longer the Chris Tucker that we all knew, but rather the Epstein version of himself. The things that he mentioned, however, are not limited to these. Therefore, continue to watch, as we will be explaining everything to you in detail. Ricky Smiley was one of the first comedians that Katt Williams wanted to talk about when she started to talk about him at the beginning of the interview. Not only did Katt Williams reveal Smiley as a liar, but he also stated that Smiley was incapable of acting. Katt Williams had some harsh words for Smiley. He was making fun of him because he had a problem with the fact that Smiley said that he was the one who was initially cast for the role in the Friday After movie. Smiley's assertions that he was once Money Mike were refuted by Katt Williams, who referred to them as nothing more than a complete and utter fabrication. An interaction took place between Money Mike, portrayed by Katt Williams, and Damon, a newly released convict who was portrayed by Terry Crews. Money Mike was a character in the film. In the movie, Smiley played the role of Santa Claus who steals from Santa Claus. Katt Williams claims that Smiley's dispute with him began when Smiley defended his character's refusal to engage in comedic behavior. In his statement, Williams stated that he requested the removal of the sequence, stating that it would be twice as humorous as Money Mike getting a spanking. But the following day, Smiley reacted to Katt Williams on an episode of his own program that aired on his own channel. In his assertions on the job, he reaffirmed his position. As an additional point of clarity, he stated that the pimp aspect of the character was not included until Williams was cast in the part. When he was finished with his speech, he made it quite apparent that he did not have any ill will against Katt Williams. We hope that Katt Williams has a successful new year. In this place, there is not a single thing but love. When Katt Williams was discussing the idea of exposing liars like Ricky Smiley, he went ahead and labeled Cedric the Entertainer as a liar as well. These accusations were made while Williams was discussing the topic. He informed Shannon that some years ago when he was hosting Cedric on his podcast and asked him whether or not he had stolen his joke, he lied to him by stating that it didn't match up. Shannon said that he had told him this. Katt Williams has said that Cedric stole a line that he had previously performed on the stand-up comedy series Comic View, which was broadcast on BET in the year 1998. In the film The Original Kings of Comedy, which was released in the year 2000, Katt Williams made the accusation that the barbershop actor had performed the claimed stolen joke. During the episode of Kings of Comedy, Katt Williams claims that Cedric performed his joke word for word, and that the only thing he did was alter the word car to spaceship. Cedric and his longtime buddy, comedian and TV presenter Steve Harvey, had previously apologized for the alleged stolen joke, according to Katt Williams, who stated that Cedric had already apologized. He said that he had made an exception for him for more than a decade, but it wasn't until 2022 that he decided to come out about it. He claimed that he had given him a pass for more than a decade. For his side, Cedric told Sharpe in 2022 that the claim made against Williams was absurd and that it was a product of the internet. Additionally, he asserted that the time frame of when both comedians performed their jokes did not align with Williams' assertions, which he claimed was not accurate. Following the airing of this interview, fans took to Twitter and shared video of both of the comedians' performances in order to analyze and contrast the similarities and differences between the two jokes. Originally, Katt Williams was known by his stage moniker, Cat in the Hat. He subsequently said that he was forced to alter his identity after receiving a letter from Disney requesting that he cease and desist his performance, almost immediately after pointing out that Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer were dishonest. Katt Williams went on to accuse Kevin Hart of being a plant in the entertainment industry. He went on to demonstrate that Kevin's history was completely illogical, explaining that he had never been able to sell out shows in comedy clubs before he was cast in the lead part of the film Soul Plane. Now, Katt's dispute with Kevin dates back many years, and Katt had already before intimated that Kevin had sold his soul by stepping over his ideals to attain to that next level of popularity. And when Kevin Hart replied to Katt Williams by coming on The Breakfast Club, accusing him of blaming Hollywood for his personal difficulties, Katt Williams doubled down by outlining why Kevin Hart would do practically anything for success. In the past, Katt Williams had provided a response to Kevin Hart's allegations that he had engaged in substance misuse and given studios the runaround. On Shannon's podcast, he made sure to make his position more obvious by dismissing Kevin's charges. He said that he had never ever had a problem with illicit substances, much less any film studios. He made this claim in order to make his position more clear. In addition to that, he went on to remark that it has been more than 25 years since he and Kevin Hart had been in the same location at the same time. Following this, Katt Williams becomes quite convinced that Kevin has sold his soul to those who are in charge of the entertainment business. In addition, in order to provide you with some background information, he is alluding to the long-standing notion that black male artists in Hollywood are subjected to enormous amounts of pressure to wear dresses in movies before they are permitted to advance to the next level of popularity. On the other hand, this rumor is starting to make more sense as a fact than it does as a straightforward conspiracy theory. There have been a number of comedians and actresses who have gone out to talk about their experiences with the clothing, which are remarkably similar to one another. Dave Chappelle is one of the most prominent comedians who has cautioned the general public about the serious consequences that might result from consenting to wear a dress for a film. In addition, this is not something that has just begun happening recently, because Dave discussed the reasons why he declined a $50 million contract from Comedy Central back in 2006 when he made a visit on The Oprah Winfrey Show. Dave goes on to explain that the reason he declined the agreement was because he was aware that the amount of money that was being given to him would be contingent upon the fulfillment of certain criteria. Dave indicated that he did not feel comfortable having to deal with the conditions. Kevin Hart was questioned about the dress problem during an interview, and while he did not expressly claim that he would never put on a dress, he did make it obvious that he would not cross his own personal limits. Kevin Hart was asked about the dress scenario. A year later, however, Kevin Hart made an appearance on Saturday Night Live in a spoof in which he was dressed in a dress for reasons that are self-evident. Fans would begin to accuse him of being a sellout, and it is easy to see why they would do so. You may also start to realize that everything that Dave Chappelle and Katt Williams discussed could not be a conspiracy theory, but rather the truth about the reality behind becoming a celebrity in Hollywood. This is something that you can start to see. It would appear that the interview that Katt Williams had with Shannon reveals the hidden truth about the Illuminati and the superstars that it is controlling. Furthermore, despite the fact that we only covered a tiny percentage of all that he disclosed in the interview, we are interested in hearing your comments as well as everything that has been discussed up to this point. Therefore, make sure that you subscribe to the channel as we will be providing even more information surrounding this subject in the near future. Also, believe us when we say that you won't want to miss out on what's going to happen.